much beyond Durgama. And let's read from chapter 9. So I read just at the beginning of page 206. And Digambar is saying, well, if there is no advancement of material knowledge, how could you Vaishnavas conveniently satisfy your material needs and be free to engage in bhajan? You should also make some endeavor for material advancement. In other words, he's saying, what many people say, they just see you sitting chanting all day and they say, oh, you're just lazy, go out and do some work or something. Many people in the West, they will criticize the devotee if he's just sitting in his home doing like that, thinking that it's negative. They have no understanding. Advaita, people work in different ways according to their respective inclinations, but Ishvara is the supreme controller of all, and he awards each person the appropriate result of his actions. This is the point. Everyone is surrendered, the devotee is surrendered to Krishna, and whatever is meant to come to that devotee will come regardless. Actually, your karma will be, if you have nothing, Krishna will supply. What's that? Ananyas chintayantava ye janapriya. No, I didn't mean that one. Ananyas chintayant. That from the 9th.
Yogakshema Mahamaya.
Yes, that's the last line. Yes, Ananyas chintayant. Yes, it is the first line. That Krishna, he carries what you have, preserves what you have, and he gives you what you lack. So the devotee, you see, what does the devotee have that the non-devotee doesn't have? He has shraddha. He has faith. If you have that faith, if you're gifted with that faith, where do you get your faith from? Your faith comes from an accumulation of sukriti and sanskars from many births. Actually, it doesn't just turn on the light like that. It doesn't come from there. Because the faith in something that you can't even see. You can't see transcendence. All you can see is this material world in front of us. How do we know that any of this is true? Yogamaya.
Like if you want to take a step forward, you have to have faith that the ground will...
Very good. Very good. Yes. You have faith in that's why, actually, just as a detail, if you've ever been through an earthquake, it's really, really shocking effect on the consciousness, because you're not quite sure the ground is going to be level. We've been brought up all our lives absolutely convinced that the ground is always going to be secure. But if you've ever been in an earthquake where it's really shaken badly, it like makes such a profound impression on the psyche of the person, because he doesn't have that faith anymore that not forever is the ground going to be like that. Anyway, it's just a detail. But yes, it's a good analogy there. Okay, now we get... So, Digambar says, where does inclination... What does inclination mean?
Shraddha.
Huh?
Shraddha.
Tendency.
What do you say?
Tendency. Is a tendency to do something.
Tendency, yes, desire. Desire. Inclination, desire. Because the next couple of pages are all about this. Where does that desire come from? So Advaita, inclination develops from deep-rooted impressions. That's what we said about faith. It comes from Sukriti and Sanskar, from deep faith. Gada Sanskar. Two types I described before. There's present, Adunika, and there's historical, Prachana. So these two types of Sanskar. I think it's fascinating to understand all this, because it's not like vague. It's not just do this and this will happen. It's like the Shastras are so clear, and if you're sufficiently awake, you'll catch that clarity.
It's just like there are so many people in Dham here also, but
Yes.
they're not chanting, they don't know the importance of, and a lot of jivas have come from other parts of
Yes.
so that we can relate that it's like Vijnana, that's
Yes. This helps us see for ourselves, number one, and then helps us see the world externally, number two. And then the result should be that the jiva who realizes this only wants to share that knowledge. Because at the same time that compassion shakti, karuna shakti, will automatically come. That you want to help people out of their illusion. But that's not always just ABC, not banging them on the head necessarily. You have to feed them, speak nice words, etc., etc. Like Advaita's doing. He's entertaining this almost demon in his ashram, right? He doesn't want him to be there. I mean, if it had been me, probably I'd just told him to go away right at the beginning. But Advaita is a cultured man. So he's going through all this, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us this. Inclination from deep-rooted impressions in the heart, acquired from previous activities. The more extensively one is involved with matter, the more expert he will be in material knowledge and the crafts originating from such knowledge. So like any kind of profession, for example, like a musician, for example, it can take many births to actually be a very accomplished musician. 7 or 8 or 9 births playing a particular instrument, so you can be like a virtuoso. Because that's your dedication, that was your desire, that's what you wanted to do. So, and then others will be craftsmen, etc., etc. That's what he's saying. By our impressions. The articles that such people manufacture may help the Vaishnavas to serve Krishna, but there is no need for the Vaishnavas to labor for them separately. Who built the bicycle first? We use the bicycle. It's a work of science, so to speak, But we don't have to figure out how... let someone who's had these sanskars for many births, let them do. There's no need to labor extensively for things that aren't necessary. For example, carpenters earn their livelihood by producing singhasans, and which Grihastha Vaishnavas use as platforms where they place the deity. Bees are inclined to gather honey, which devotees accept for the service of the deity. It is not that all the jivas of the world endeavor for spiritual advancement. They are engaged in different types of work, impelled by their respective natures. So it's not that all the jivas are going to be following this spiritual path. It's not practical, we can say, in a sense. If everyone just started chanting Hare Krishna, they won't. But if everyone suddenly did, actually everything would be completely perfect. Krishna would adjust. But from a material perspective, or how he's explained in Digambar, there will always be workers. That there is Krishna made the Varnashram system. He created that himself in Treta Yuga, because society was like becoming distracted, because there was one of the limbs of the angas of the cow, the legs of the cow was broken. So as the ages come down, there's a need for social order. So Krishna manifested that Varnashram system. Human beings have different types of tendencies, some high and some low. Those with lower natures are engaged in varieties of work impelled by their lower tendencies. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks a lot about this in Shikshamrita. If you meet a Christian, for example, don't dismantle his faith. Don't try and tell him that it's absolute rubbish what he's talking about. If you dismantle his faith, he might be left with nothing. Then he has no faith in anything. The way he describes it is that you should add to that Christian's faith and just try and open some doors in Christianity. You should add to that by your understanding of Christianity. Don't dismantle, or an Islam per Muslim. Don't smash him to pieces. Then he's got nothing to hold on to. Just like the example in chapter 10 we'll come to. The next chapter, where they honor the Muslims. They're trying to, yes, have a nice seat, let's have a discussion, etc. They're not trying to wipe them out, because there won't be anything left if they do that. So that's not the path. So we're understanding deeply. The menial labor they perform assists other types of work which are prompted by higher natures. So the lower nature people will do something, and then the higher natured people will be able to use that in the service of the Lord. Like lower natured people, they make this technology. It comes from, originally all is coming from China. It's coming up from the lower worlds. This technology is a demonic. It's a Kali Yuga. There's nothing good about it. We're using it for good purposes, But in and of itself, there's nothing really advantageous for the soul, because we stop depending on the natural qualities of this earth and we start depending on man-made things. And as soon as we depend on man-made things, there's a weakness there, because man-made things can't always survive. Just like now. We're sitting here with no light, no fan. If we had come to depend on that fully, all of a sudden oh my God, what's happened? What can I do? What can I do? Help me, help me. But we're not like that. We understand that this electric is temporary. That's a wonderful thing about India. You have this load shedding constantly all over India. It's actually good. In the West, when they have a power strike, they inform people 2 weeks in advance. The light is going to go out on the 9th of June for 4 hours. And for 2 weeks in advance, the whole country is preparing for this 4-hour blackout, where they're going to do some servicing or something like that, you know. But here in this country we get it, and many other countries, you get it like regularly. And this is really good. If some catastrophe happens in the world, we're not going to be just, without light, for example. We have candles. We have limited electric lights. So this is Krishna's arrangement. Everyone who is under the jurisdiction of matter works according to his material propensity. Understand? If we're conditioned souls, we can only work according to the condition that we're in. If you're born in a Sudra family, if you're a strong man, and your father pulls a cart with cement on it, then you can do the same. You're covered by the same idea. According to his material propensity, and thereby assist the Vaishnavas in their spiritual development. Yes, this assists the Vaishnavas. Such materialists are not aware that their activities are helping the Vaishnavas, because they are bewildered by the potency of Sri Vishnu's Maya. Consequently, the entire world serves the Vaishnavas, but unknowingly. What a broad perspective Bhaktivinoda Thakur has. He also says in another place, who is a Vaishnava? Everyone is a Vaishnava, but some know it and some don't know it. This is the words of a great, great personality. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's vision was enormous. It was cosmic, really and truly, for the benefit of humanity. That's how such a wonderful literature can manifest.
How is that everybody is a Vaishnava? Means what does he mean?
Because it's dormant. Everyone is a spirit soul. Jivara Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, right?
But they're not serving Krishna.
No, they haven't learnt yet. But eventually, everyone through the course of time will get an opportunity to learn. And hopefully, the majority of them will actually go towards the path of Vaishnavism. That's what it means. Understand? Clearly. What does it mean? Tell me.
The Vaishnava nature is dormant in them.
Yes.
So it can sprout at any moment.
Absolutely. Very good. Nicely put.